Man, it's been a tough week. We've been, we all been, like the rest of America, we've been dealing with all this stuff going on, man. And, and today was a win for us. We got, some good news. Them jokers is that committed that murder against, against George has all been convicted. I'm not convicted. I'm sorry, arrested. And so that's a good thing, man. And, and what caught my eye today, man, was what Drew Brees and Vic Fangio had to say today, man. I just thought that was absolutely tone deaf. Chuck, you've been in a lot of locker rooms, man, in your life. Is that the norm? Guys acting like that?
I think it is. It has a lot to do with persons, and any team actually that I've been on, pretty much all the way up through from high school all the way through, man. You're dependent on people, man, and football is such a violent sport that you respect people that are around you to show the type of heart and bravery. When you run down on a couple kickoffs, which is probably in sports, probably one of the craziest things to do. When you've done that and you can look at people in the eye and see that they have that type of bravery and willingness to put it on the line for other people, man, then you end up having a lot of respect. With that said, obviously he had no idea what he was talking about when it comes to racism on a whole, as far as, especially in the coaching ranks. Him being a coach, man, he's just completely clueless. And he's taking the long road to get to where he gotten. But, man, that's a lot of guys know that they just cut the line, and it's happened over and over. So it was more than a bit insensitive in this time, but I think it's just kind of ignorant. I don't think he was meaning to, really stick it. It was just kind of ignorant.
Greg, do you think that, it's going to affect his play and his relationship with his teammates this year?
I mean, man, we're all human beings. And I think right now, this whole movement is challenging people's humanness. That's what we're asking folks to do. We're asking people to look at the victims of these types of crimes and not see a black person. We're asking them to see a human being. Imagine if he was white. And we're asking them to take that into consideration. So because there is a humanness, and this is really bringing that out, I think those things are, potential issues that could impact the team to some degree, especially knowing that, we've been a part of a championship team, the three of us together, when we won the Rose Bowl back in '90. And that team was so together. We all were thinking the same things. We all had each other's back. We all was down for one another. And so because of that, I think we were able to win a championship. So it definitely are things that could fracture a team. I saw his, primary target, his wide receiver, Pro Bowl bad man, have a little bit of a Twitter war with him. Yeah. And, during my era, we didn't have Twitter. So, we may have kept those things in the locker room because we had to talk about them face to face, where we could really work them out and maybe bring some understanding, So that's what it's going to take for them to get through this. When they get into training camp and get into the locker room preseason, they're going to have a come together, like a come to Jesus type of moment where they really sit down and hash it out. And, there's room to do that if everybody's willing to do that. Sports teaches us a lot of that. I think growing up, that's what helped probably most of us on this Zoom cast right now, get to know other people from other races and cultures and all of that, and maybe understand them a little, because we have been in those locker rooms where you just got to get down and dirty and really get to know each other and have each other's back. So there's a potential for that to happen, but there's also the potential for lingering hurt feelings, because again, we all human, but that's what we want to be. We want to be human, and we want everybody to be human in these types of situations.
Yeah, Dom, man, as I think about the fact that, like Greg was saying, man, you guys have been a part of championship teams. Do you remember a time in a locker room where you felt like, maybe some guys weren't, together as they could be based on their views of the world and the kind of the way they live their life?
I can't remember when anything has been this divisive, put it that way. I mean, there's always things going to come up because people got different cultures. People like different music. I mean, I remember, back in my day, it was probably more so for religious reasons, because back then, everybody was into the Nation of Islam, Malcolm X thing, and and how ironically all the white brothers will come to me and try to try to debate with one of the guys that had the Malcolm X mentality, calling them the devil. So I had to go and go to their aid, because I considered back then, as my relationship with the Lord, I mean, I was a Christian, so I was going to back them up. I didn't care what color. But to reiterate some of the things that what Greg was saying, man, I think it's definitely going to be an issue in the locker room, because did you guys see Malcolm Jenkins? Safety in tears. I mean, if you don't, he has to, he has to do some. He got some cleaning up to do. Drew Brees, as the leader of that team, he's lost that locker room right now. He's got to get back, because definitely he has lost the locker room. But I think that locker room is like the way America is right now. It's divided. I mean, and what makes it so disappointing is that the people that you think that would be on your side, like the white evangelicals in my situation as being a Christian, I expected the white leadership, to really come to our defense, but it's been a lot better after after the thing that happened in Minnesota, but prior to that, it was pretty much non-existent. And I've been struggling with that, man. I'm like wondering why, and I think that's we can talk about that for a long time. I don't want to get long-winded, but get too deep. But it's a serious divide in America.
Yeah, Chuck, man. I mean, how do you in a locker room manage everybody's beliefs? Like, is there certain things that you guys kind of like just kept out of locker rooms, politics, religion, those type things? Are those subjects that you guys usually, discuss in locker rooms, or are those things usually taboo in locker rooms?
Well, I mean, I think that like most things in people, man, that you got to understand that you're at work, at the end of the day, you're really at work. You got a job to do, and that job is supreme. That is the number one goal of everybody. And actually, especially, he mentioned one thing when he said meritocracy, that there is a lot of merit based on how well you play, how good of a player you are. That is a lot of what goes on amongst players. I think what he really missed, and I think that's what he was talking about, but what he really missed, man, was the overall point in the NFL that there aren't a lot of people of color making the decisions and in the decision-making process. And often because that's looked upon as being a cerebral, endeavor, like, and they don't see us that way. And that's what I think is like the slap in the face, is that you're basically saying if it's a meritocracy, then we only have a couple of coaches because that's all they earned, and we only have no black owners because they haven't earned that way.
Or, so it can't be that
GM, so it can't be that. So, I think he misspoke. He didn't really understand what he was saying. As far as the Drew Brees thing, man, that just disappointed me, and still disappoints me. I think he doesn't get it. And honestly, man, and I don't want to get too long with it on this too, but I just got to say what I got to say. The national anthem, man, I know it's sentimental to a lot of people because and that's what he was saying. He relates it to World War II and his grandfather's fighting and that type thing. But for us as African Americans here, our history is different. I know there are a lot of there are a lot of people. My family is from Belize. And they had this relationship with England, and there are a lot of black people in England that are doing fine, So for us, I don't know where I would have been on a subject like that in the 1800s if England was coming here to fight us. And I don't know how patriotic I'd have been at the time. I definitely wouldn't have been standing singing on national anthem on behalf of this country at that time. So, you know, our perspective is just different, man. You got to understand it. And I think that's a little insensitive. I'm trying to be sensitive to understanding where he's coming from, but it's just kind of, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah. Go ahead, Don. I'm sorry.
I mean, you know, that saying, my grandfathers fought in World War. Our grandfathers fought in World War II also. But guess what? When our grandfathers came back, they were criticized, ostracized. They were cast aside. They were hung because they thought they were too hungry. I mean, they couldn't get jobs after they fought for our country. You know? And that's the thing that he missed. You know, and that's why he has to understand. You know, I mean, we all love America, but that patriotism that he has is different for us, and that's what he failed to realize in his teammates, and that's what's so disappointing and hurtful for a guy like Drew Brees to miss. You know, and but
what Drew Brees should have said is that if this brings about more kneeling and protests like it had been a few years ago, I reserve my right to stand with my hand over my heart, but I understand
right.
Other folks have different experiences, and I respect their right to protest in the manner in which they will protest. And if he says that, then he still comes across as the leader of that team. He still comes across as standing up for what he believes, but allowing other people to have that. And that's how Drew Brees could have won instead of losing.
Yeah, but that ain't in him. It wasn't in him to say that. You know, he spoke his truth, and that was his truth. And that's the unfortunate thing is that, you know, a lot of people running around with that quiet truth, and that quiet truth is as dangerous as, you know, an open lie, you know?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he came across as completely tone deaf in the whole situation of what's going on right now, either tone deaf or he didn't care. And my next question to you guys is, if you had a coach like Vic Fangio came out and said what he said today, as far as, you know, he doesn't see racism in the NFL at all with all that's going on. How would you look at him as your leader going forward? Greg, I'll come to you with this one. What you think?
Well, I mean, just based on that statement, he obviously has his head in the sand. But white America has the opportunity to just focus on the job at hand because there aren't other things and pressures and attacks and things coming at them every day, all the time for certain reasons. So he can remove himself and say, well, there's no racism. I'm just going to focus on coaching and winning and all that kind of stuff. Where when we every day got all these other things we're dealing with, whether it's, you know, afraid to get stopped by the police, you know, living in a white neighborhood because I'm an NFL player and I'm a person of you know, wealth. So when I go out of my neighborhood, are people going to mistake me for a criminal and approach me with a shotgun? He didn't have to worry about all those kinds of things. So it's just the social contract with America is different between white folks and black folks. They have a constitution that says we have a contract with you, America. If we do what we're supposed to do, we will get good outcomes. We work hard. We obey certain rules. You know, we go about our life and our business. And America is supposed to offer that contract to all of us, and we're supposed to abide by it. But when you're black, they don't abide by that contract. We can do everything right, work hard. We can, you know, go get our degree, you know, entertain folks in the NFL and still come down and get shot in the street like a dog when we haven't done anything wrong. So we have to think about so many different things. And so when we walk into an NFL scenario and we see things happening, no black coaches being hired, you know, this whole thing that's taken forever with black quarterbacks being recognized, or even the comments that announcers make, oh, he's naturally skilled and talented versus he's cerebral and studied and worked hard to get to this position. So we see those undertones and underpins of racism that they don't. So in his mind, because of his experiences and the things that he has to worry about, he might feel that way. But coming back full circle, when people are telling you and showing you things, you have to be able to say, all right, I'm going to sit down and listen. I'm going to hear what you're saying. And yes, winning and getting the job done is important. But at the end of the day, again, where's the humanness? We're all human beings.
Yeah.
We all should have the rights to live according to that same American contract.
And I come at you with this question because it's important in what you just said. is people like him, does that really bring out the need for more black coaches when you see guys like him that are in the league, and 28 of the coaches in the NFL are white? Does that really like highlight the need more than ever for more black coaches in the NFL?
Well, no, I don't believe so. There needs to be more black coaches because black coaches are good coaches, period. That's
Okay.
why there needs to be more black coaches. Not
So you don't,
because there's not to push some social agenda. There need to be more black coaches because they qualify and they're good. And that's why they need to be there, because we're going to put people in because we feel a certain type of way. That's not any different than what's already happening. And as far as what would I do as far as if I had a coach like that, I do my best to focus on the good people that I know. You know, not saying that he's not a good person, but man, that it's hard going through in a league and trying to do your best when you feel like everybody's not on board with that. So I'm trying to focus on the good people that I know, and there's plenty of good people of all different types of colors in the locker room, man. I know at Washington, man, we had a really good group of guys, you know, and, you know, I don't know where everybody falls in politically and what they believe. I just know that we kind of had, you know, that kind of quote unquote one heartbeat type thing, and we were all on the same page and we were focused, you know. But I remember how together we were if something went down, that, and if somebody was stuck somewhere, and we've had it happen, and not to, you know, promote nonsense, but we've had guys stuck in the club because other guys didn't want to let them out. And in 5 minutes, we had carloads of people down there to get them. And that's just the way it kind of was there. And I think in that sense, man, that you can still have a tight locker room, but you got to focus on the good people, man. And hopefully you have enough to make that type of, you know, that type of sizzle, man, to get everybody on board. Because otherwise it'd be tough. It'd be tough.
I hear you. I hear you, Chuck. But Don, man, I guess my question is, and still is, you guys, John, do you think it's important that more people that look like us are coaching in a way that so other athletes can have that leadership from guys that have been where they've been and kind of have the same experiences? Do you not think that's important, Don?
I mean, that's important, but like Chuck said, it's more important because they're good coaches, you know. And you know, I don't want, you know, I don't think it's fair to be, you know, get a coach just because you're black now. But I think that, you know, but there are.
Well, I'm not saying that. No, I'm not saying hire anybody off the street. I'm just saying, you know, is it important to us to be able to have guys in the locker room in leadership positions that look like us?
I mean, yeah, of course, yes. There are, and that's important as well. You know, I think, you know, seeing the guys in some form of leadership, you know, is important. Whether it's, you know.
Well, let me offer another side to this that's opposed to kind of the thought that you guys are saying. Yes, I agree they need to be good coaches, but a head coach's job is to bring everybody together. The head coach's job is to set the tone. The head coach's job is to get everybody to fight for that one cause. That's the head coach's job. Position coaches do all the X's and O's and all that stuff. So part of being a good coach is being able to do that. And if you look at the NFL, the majority of the teams have a lot of African Americans, have a lot of black folks on them. So if a black coach is in that locker room, he may have an even better opportunity to set the stage, to bring everybody together when situations like this happen, to be able to get the team on one page, because he's been there, he's experienced that, he knows that. So I think part of being a good coach, and a big part of it,
absolutely,
do that. So I think if we do have scenarios where we have more black coaches, some of those teams, you know, might play a little bit better because they know they're comfortable. The environment is conducive to their success. They have role models there that are helping them, you know, not make bad choices. Of course, they're grown men, because Pittsburgh had a black coach, and Antonio Brown acted a damn fool. So it doesn't always work.
But had a black coach, and they won 1 of 15.
Yeah, I think though if you have a good coach who has that quality to be able to do it. So that's all I'm saying. The more black coaches we have, there might be an opportunity for more of those teams to really come together and get on that same page.
I got a story, and it's to be honest. So I'm gonna share this story here, and it's kind of whatever. But when I was in Kansas City, we had Bill Cowher was our D coordinator. Marty Schottenheimer was our head coach. A DB coach was Tony Dungy, and we had a scout named Herman Edwards. And we had a bunch of other guys, man, that I could go name, but we had a great lineup there. And after Bill Cowher left, everybody automatically assumed that Tony Dungy was going to get the defensive coordinator job because he basically ran our meetings, and everybody knew how smart he was. He had done it before. It was like a no-brainer, and somehow he didn't get the job. He ended up going over to Minnesota with Denny Green after he didn't get the job. Fast forward to and Herman Edwards became our DB coach at Kansas City. Fast forward to Tampa when I'm in Tampa, and Tony Dungy is the head coach. And now this happens all the time. It's not a white and black thing. It happens all the time. Monty Kiffin was our defensive coordinator, and Herman Edwards was our DB coach, and they disagreed on some stuff pretty strongly, mainly because that's what usually happens. The defensive coordinators a lot of times don't know what's going on with the defensive backfield, and we got to correct a lot of mistakes. That's just what happens. But I remember how Herman Edwards stood up to Monty, and it was foreign to me. I was like, man, this black coach is standing up to this white coach, because that had not been my experience looking at it in the NFL. I was like, wow, it kind of shocked me. Then I remembered that, Tony had made Herman Edwards the assistant head coach. So even though he wasn't a coordinator, he had a lot of authority there and was able to kind of stand his ground. And as a black man, that was great to see, Mm-hmm. So yeah, Troy, in that regard, yes, of course, you want strong black figures to be in positions of leadership. We just don't want people there that are incapable. All those people were excellently capable of what they were doing, and they were the top in the entire world of what they were doing. And there are a lot of us like that. Mm-hmm. Sometimes we don't want them to put some token person up there. That's my thing. Don't just throw somebody up there to throw them up there. And I've seen that too.
Black race
seen that too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Go ahead, Don. Were you saying something? I'm sorry.
Yeah, because that would set us back. If you get a coach there that's not ready just because he's black, it would set us back.
But that's a mouthful and a statement of concern in it itself, Don. Because why does one black coach who's not that good set us all back? There's a problem.
Right. Because the way
there's a problem because that's the way it is.
Right. Mm-hmm. But I'm just saying that to me is why I think there has to be that opportunity and semblance of putting more coaches into place so that we can get beyond and past all that. I get what you're saying. That's real and that's true. But I'm just pointing out on here, to be honest, that's why that's a big problem to me.
Right,
but black coaches get an opportunity.
There are no black retreads, right?
Right.
No.
Exactly.
And you can, as a white coach, we've seen people fail forward. Like you fail forward, and that is something you don't see with black coaches. Like you see a guy like Kingsbury, and he may be a very good coach. He may have some great success. I'm not going to pull him backwards. I'm not trying to do that. I'm just saying he did not earn that position.
No, he didn't go through the process everybody else has to go through.
He did poorly at Texas Tech, or not great at Texas Tech. Poorly. And then end up landing in a cushy job at USC. And before he could even get that job at USC, the NFL hired him as a head coach. That is unheard of anywhere else. Why? Because he fit this stereotype that they had. Young white quarterback coach.
You could look at Pete Carroll, who did not have a lot of success as a head coach in the NFL and still got a USC job and another opportunity to come back to the NFL. Now he's had some success since he's been with the Seahawks, but if you're a black coach, if you don't have success that first time, you can pretty much forget it. There's very rarely an opportunity where you get another chance and you fail as a black head coach. So I was just pointing that fact out that, Don had made that statement. That's something that, we might want to spend some time on maybe on another show.
Let's switch gears here real quick to the NBA. I saw today that they approved the 22-team format. They're going to come back, from what I'm understanding, July 31st. And if it goes all the way to Game 7 of the championship, it'll be over October 7th. So at least we're getting the NBA back, man, to, get our minds off it and, get to some good basketball. Don, man, who you got, man? Who you think's going to take it this year, man, being that it's going to be a short kind of a sprint to the end there?
Man, I just got a feeling the Clippers going to do it. I hate to admit it, but the Clippers, man, I think I don't know if LeBron can recapture what he had, before the season ended. I think the Lakers have a chance because I'm a Laker fan. It'll be almost psychological if the Clippers win the darn championship this year. But they just got the team, with their defensive prowess that they have when they can turn it on. Can you develop enough chemistry, in the short amount of time? It's going to be tough. But I think it's going to be between the Lakers and definitely the Lakers and the Clippers, and whoever comes out of the West, will win because the East is weak.
You don't think Milwaukee's got a
no?
Man, you don't think Milwaukee got a chance with the Greek Freak over there?
No, I don't. No.
You don't think so, Don?
He needs another star, before he's going to take it to the next level.
They were on a pace for a 70-win season this year. Greg, do you think Milwaukee got a chance?
I mean, you always got a chance. Nobody thought Toronto had a shot last year, and things happen. I know it took some injuries to the Golden State Warriors to give Toronto an opportunity to get through the finals and beat that team. But I think anybody has a shot. I think Giannis has gotten better from the outside from last year, but I don't think he's good enough of an outside shooter yet where in a championship series he can take over a game and carry his team to victory without, like I think Don was saying, another superstar who can jump in and take over when he's not effective, because teams are going to take away those drive lanes. They're going to take away the fast break points. All the things that Giannis does extremely well. We saw it happen last year where teams were able to neutralize him because he's not that outside threat, can pull up and hit the three or, get it off the dribble, the mid-range, yet he doesn't have that strong ability just yet. So I agree it'll probably end up being the winner of the Clippers-Lakers if they both meet in the Western Conference Championship, and the winner of that would be the favorites, prohibitive favorites, easily. But I think, there could be a potential trip up of one of those teams now that, we've been out for a little while, could one of those other teams in the West give them a hiccup. I doubt it. I really strongly doubt it. But I'm just saying there's always a chance. Now, if you had me to ask me to put my money on something right now, man, I might go with the Clippers only because their ability to defend is ridiculous. Defend every position. Those guys have that ability. And if there's somebody that bothers LeBron, it's that boy Kawhi. He knows he bothers LeBron James. And what I've seen with my own eyes this year and the 3 times they played is the Lakers got a hard-fought win, and the Clippers had some earlier wins where it showed that when they're playing defense like they're capable of, it's hard to score against these dudes. So, if you tell me to put some money down, it wouldn't be much, but I'd have to bet on the Clippers. But my team is the Seattle Supersonics, and they ain't playing because these fools have stole my team, and I ain't never going to root for no Oklahoma City Thunder because that ain't the Sonics. That's a weak mess. And until we get a team, I'm boycotting all basketball right now. I've been boycotting basketball for the last 2 months, and I ain't watched a game in the last 2 months. Now, when it comes back, I might watch it a little bit.
Watch it again.
but I need to see my Sonics.
Yeah, well, I hope they get the Sonics back because, like Cube said, it's a good day when the Lakers beat the Supersonics. As far as that goes, man, here's the interesting thing that I just that I heard is that the layoff that they've had is just as long as the end of the finals to the beginning of the new season. So in essence, you have a new season. Anything can happen when you have a new season. Like when they say, hey, when you make it to a championship, regardless of what team that you're on, hey, you don't take it for granted because you think you may get back to a championship and don't. We don't know what's gonna happen when it comes to these teams, man. Like this is with something we never experienced before. Now, pretty much you can kind of guess that the best teams are gonna have the best players, and the best players are in LA right now, and that's those top 4 guys that are there. And I'm assuming one of those 2 teams is gonna win. But you know, man, this is a crapshoot, man. It's, you know, somebody can have a joker sitting in their hand somewhere, and you never know, man. I mean, you know, there was talk that those dudes in that Kevin Durant might get healthy in time. You know, and I don't think that would, you know, that's kind of fairy tale land, but anything can happen in this scenario, man. We just don't know. We don't know how long it's gonna go. We don't know anything. There's a whole lot of variables we can't really count on. You know, I'm rolling with the Lakers. Come hella high water, I just kind of feel. I just don't believe in Paul George, man. I believe when you get in his chest and you play him kind of tough, I think he fold, man. I don't believe him being that dude that had that grit. So I get somebody in his face.
I disagree with Greg that last Laker-Clipper game, Lakers kind of gave it to him a little bit in that last Laker-Clipper game.
Maybe, but let me throw a monkey wrench in all of this, since we like to do that. What if one of these top teams, like the Lakers or the Clippers or whoever, ends up with a bunch of players coming down with COVID-19 in the middle of the playoffs, and now all of a sudden players got to be quarantined, they got to sit out? Man, that's something right there that could change this whole narrative. And if they decided, well, it's germane to this team, we're going to still continue with the playoffs, then they got to test the other team every day, and if nobody has it. So I think there's a potential monkey wrench, that could be thrown in all this. I know everybody thinks COVID-19 is a hoax and, nobody really has it and all of that. A lot of people do, but, that's a factor that could potentially happen. And then what do? Man.
Right. Exactly.
It's the Golden State scenario from last year. I mean, they had all those injuries last year. I mean, that turned the tide of that series in that game. So yeah, of course, man. If you got people just dropping out,
then but what if the cats just got tested positive for it, but don't have no symptoms, and they're not getting sick, and they're healthy athletes? Do you still have to sit them out? I mean, I guess the policy says you do. So that's kind of a hard pill to swallow. I mean, I feel like I can go out there and play, but because you've been tested positive, you got to sit it out.
You can't play. So, Dom, man, take away the Lakers and Clippers. Who's the dark horse? Who do you think your dark horse is going in?
Good question. Who would be the dark horse if the Lakers or the Clippers are not in it? The dark horse. Let's see. Well, I'm gonna say this. I know I'm kind of contradicting myself, but man, there's something about the Toronto Raptors, man. I don't know what it is, but but something, they don't really have that. I mean, they that superstar, but they play so well together, man. And just like Greg made a point about, or it might have been Charles who said, you don't know how these guys are going to be when they come back, but that team plays together like no other. They might be somebody that can take advantage of that layoff because
that's a good point.
Together. So they might
wouldn't mind seeing that.
Siakam's a bad boy,
man. And plus, they got a chance at the East. They got, and once you get in there, then just like you guys are saying, anything can happen. You can get COVID and get hurt. And they can. What happened? Look what happened last year.
I love that pick. I mean, I like it a lot because, like you said, it's a team that's together. They just took out Kawhi, didn't add anything else to it, and it's brought the same squad.
Why?
They got the same squad they had last year.
They done been through the fire, and the guys that are still there know how to win. Plus, I like Siakam. He's a bad boy. And then they got little Drake, Van Vliet. That's what I call him, little Drake.
He's a baller. He's a baller.
Kyle Lowry, I don't know what it is about that guy. He should not be a good NBA player. I mean, absolutely, he's about as tall as you, Troy, and he's about as chubby as me. I don't know how this dude is a good NBA player, but he finds a way to get stuff done, especially in critical. And if what's the guy who left and went to San Antonio's name that used to be with him?
Green?
That used to be
Danny Green.
No. The superstar in Toronto, but that's now with San Antonio.
Oh, DeMar DeRozan.
Yeah, DeRozan.
Mm-hmm.
In the playoff series, it was always DeMar DeRozan that would fade and cause Toronto not to win. It was never Kyle Lowry. He always, in my opinion, had a good series. So, having those three players and like you said, all playing together, there's certainly a possibility.
Yeah, I think Kawhi Leonard got too much credit last year, and I watch people talk about him. I think he's a great player. I don't think he's better than LeBron. I think, in my estimation, I think AD is a better player. If I had to take somebody to win, if I had a shooter on my team, I'd take AD instead of taking him because he can, Kawhi Leonard, you can say he can get his own shot, but he's a big man. He's a middle. You know what I'm saying? I think Toronto was good last year, and I don't think they got the credit as a team as they deserved. It just fell on Kawhi Leonard like he did it by himself. So
I'm gonna tell you another dark horse, man.
Who's that?
And I know again.
I'm feeling it.
I know I'm kind of contradicting myself because they're in the East, but the Celtics is dangerous, man. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Watch out for them Celtics, man. Watch out for them, man. I'm telling you.
So why do you think the Celtics? What makes you feel good about that?
Jason Tatum.
Jason Tatum.
That boy is a superstar in the making.
Man, I'm gonna tell you right now, the Celtics are too soft to win in the
championship series. I agree.
Playoffs. Okay. I'm just gonna tell you right now, Howard is soft. Tatum could be real soft. They got one thug.
Tatum.
At point guard.
They got one thug, Marcus Smart.
Yeah.
What about
Walker is a baller.
Kimbo, yeah.
He's a baller, but he's not no thug. I'm just telling you. They got one thug on the team, and that's Marcus Smart.
A thug, but you act like you're in the 80s, man.
You don't really need too many thugs.
They play soft now.
But it's the NBA playoffs. And when the NBA playoffs come, you got to be tough and gritty, and you got to have people that are willing to get up in folks' face and play defense and be a pest and all those kinds of things. Even Golden State had it on their pretty boy too with Draymond Green. He was one of their prominent players.
What do you guys think about this? What do you guys think about
owner like that? You need an owner like that, like this gritty, like the Charlotte Hornets owner from the 80s. He was good, and they just tanked. I'm not supposed to talk about Michael Jordan's team tanking, right? I ain't supposed to be. I thought we was trying to keep it honest.
They ain't gonna be one of the 22. They ain't gonna be one of the 22 teams coming back, Chuck. I'm gonna tell you though. I'm gonna throw a team out there, and you guys tell me what you think about this.
Third best team in North Carolina.
The they for sure are. The 6 foot and under club out there in Houston. What you think they're gonna be able to do without having those mismatches all over the court?
No,
I just hate them.
They do. No.
Next question.
Yeah.
No, I mean,
come on, man. That gimmick stuff. The Seattle SuperSonics should prove that gimmick stuff don't work in the playoffs when they were the first 1 seed to ever lose to an 8 seed, and then the next year there was a 2 seed losing to a 7 seed because they came with gimmick stuff. And it's a different gimmick, but it's a gimmick nonetheless. With that, we're just going to shoot all threes. We don't care about rebounding or matchups. Everyone's got to dictate to us. That stuff can work when you got to play them on a second night of a back-to-back, or you just flying through town, regular season game. But when you get to sit down and scheme, slow the game down and match up, man, that's to get out of here with that gimmick stuff.
I totally agree.
Houston played basketball.
I totally agree with that. Mm-hmm.
Houston plays basketball like they played in that movie White Man Can't Jump. It's just – you get the ball too. Is that Wesley Snipes? And you dribble around and act a fool and throw the ball. That's what your boy is doing all the time. I hate watching them play, man. I hate watching him dribble for 30 seconds and step back 3. Like, it's not team basketball, man. I'm confused how they felt that, matching those two dudes up again, it was going to make things work this time without Kevin Durant. And man for you, later.
Yeah.
Man, so what do you guys think about the whole dynamic of them being in the same facility, living together and then playing against each other the next night? We all live in, because they're going to, from what I understand, they're all going to be at Disney, and they're all going to be, having their families and everything. They're all going to be together. So how do you think that whole dynamic is, when you living with the people you playing with every day?
Man, to me, the way professional sports is nowadays, they already all live together because we got Facebook, Instagram, all the social media. These guys communicate with each other all the time. They holler back at each other. They post and repost each other's stuff. So these guys know each other real well anyway. So to me, I don't think that's going to interrupt the competitiveness. At the end of the day, when you're trying to get that chip, you know, you're going to do what you got to do to get yourself mind right. You're going to do what you need to do to get your rest and all of that kind of stuff. But, you know, as far as the familiarity having an impact on the competitiveness and all of that, man, these guys is all partners in it. Every game I see, they changing jerseys at the end of the game and all of that kind of stuff. You know, everybody's all super cool anyway.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, it kind of gives me kind of like a feel of like the Olympics, being in the Olympic Village, that kind of thing, man. It's probably going to be a lot like that. What you think about that, Don? That whole living together, the whole living together aspect of the whole thing.
Overall, man, I think the NBA got it right, man. I mean, they generate. I mean, you look at this 22-team league. I mean, they managed to get Zion in. That's what I'm up about.
That's what. Yeah. Talk about that, man. Talk about how important it was to keep Zion going. You know, right now for the NBA.
Well, it's about ratings, man. He's a walking rating machine. I mean, you know, people want to see him play, you know, and just imagine, you know, even though he might not last long, I mean, just think about the excitement that he's going to generate. But I think the NBA, Adam Silver is, you know, the best, you know, he's the best commissioner in all the sports, really. I mean, he relates to the players respect him, and he makes smart decisions, you know, just the way they were able to come up with this plan. And I think, and you have to do this in order. And I think that's why I think they can pull it off, because they're going to be isolated, you know, from society. So that's going to reduce the chance of COVID tremendously, you know. So I think I think they got a great chance of pulling it off, man. But I think it's, you know, it's going to be exciting. I just hope, you know, man, just think about it though. If there's a fight or something more, they probably be going at it in the, you know, after the game. They could be going up to his house, man. Hey, man, let's get it. They're gonna have to have security around there, boy.
Yeah, it's gonna be.
I don't see the Lakers with that mentality, man. I don't see LeBron really at this point right now. I think he's a bit hungry, and I think he's a little pissed off. And you know, he got reason to be, because the people always attacking about nonsense. Got nothing to do with basketball. But I think right now, I think he's hungry because it is kind of all the pressure's on him. You know, you're not a real Laker. You know, Kawhi Leonard is better than you. All this other mess is going on, man. I don't think he's not trying. And, you know, he ain't trying to shake nobody from the Clippers' hands. They live in the same building right now. They in the same city. So that's who you worried about. Look, if we beat the Clippers, I'm good. Everybody else is just, you know, whatever. But as long as the Clippers don't win it.
And this dude is from L.A. He got no love for the Clippers.
I had
man.
no love for the Clippers, man. I don't know, man. I'm
You
good.
Jack Nicklaus, not Billy Crystal, huh?
Nah, man. And I used to have a little bit of love for him when they had all them young dudes back in the day. But, you know, right now, man, I'm cool, man. I don't like Paul George, man. I just think he a weenie, bro.
He's from L.A. too. That's what
I know. He ain't from L.A. He from I don't know where he from. He ain't from
block. What you talking about?
He said he's from L.A.
Man, he from somewhere in the Empire or somewhere out there. He from the L.A. area, you know, greater L.A. area, that type mess, man. He ain't from L.A.
Hey, Don, you might have
Oklahoma City or something.
Don, you might have to edit my comment, man. I don't want to get no beef with nobody.
Oh yeah, I know. Nah, man, you all good now. It's all about the protest. We good. It's all love now.
Yeah, man. Yeah, so anyway, man, Paul George is from Palmdale, California, wherever that is. Where's Palmdale?
Palmdale, man, that's past where I live. I live in Santa Clarita. That's another 30 minutes past me. That is not L.A. That's where all the people move to. You know, like, you remember in that one song, Ice Cube said, "Yelling Compton, but you moved to Riverside"?
Yeah.
That was the new Riverside. When you moved out of LA, you moved out there, and they done tore up out there now with a whole bunch of hoods. So yeah. Anyway, nah, man, I ain't with the Clippers.
You know, so I think me and you are on the same page, man. I think me and you will pick the Lakers. Don and Greg, like they would pick the Clippers right now. Well, you know, it's just exciting to be able to kind of, you know, get closer to being able to see some sports, man, and stop watching horseshoe throwing and beanbag tossing and all this other stuff they playing on ESPN. And so maybe we can get a chance to see some real sports again. Fellas, it's been good. It's been another good show today. I appreciate everybody coming out, checking us out today. Stay prayed up. Right now, we need to stay prayed up. It's a tough time. We'll keep everybody in our prayers and stay tuned to the next episode. It'll be, we'll be back with more, To Be Honest.
Lakers.
Bring back the Sonics.
All right.